And, well, Theater of Rice and Beans. Yeah, that seems like an unusual name for a documentary relating to theater. But the significance behind it will certainly open your eyes to a part of American theater that we all need to learn more about. And here to tell us more about their documentary are the film's executive producers, director Tony Mata and director of photography Ralph Renshart. Right.
Yes.
Hello, gentlemen, and
Hi.
welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you for
morning.
having us.
Thank you for being here, hailing all the way in from Florida.
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. That's right.
And so here we are to discuss the Theater of Rice and Beans.
Yes.
So just before, can we just give everybody a little history on the fact that you're both professors and exactly what you teach at the University of Florida?
I had the musical theater program, but I'm also an affiliate faculty of Center for Latin American Studies at the University of Florida for 20 years now. So, and
Yeah, Tony and I both came to the University of Florida about the same time. I teach theater history there, so all of global theater history. That includes, of course, Latin America and Latino theater in New York, which is what the film is about. So we've been colleagues for 20 years there.
so we sure have.
That's awesome. That's nice to
Yeah.
have a long relationship like that and
Yes.
actually be able to collaborate and work and think on the same level, right?
It doesn't typically happen, but Ralph and I have a very special relationship. He's like my brother that I never had. We coincide very well with our artistic kind of vision and collaborate well. So the conversation we had in the hallway one afternoon was when he got out of class and said, you know, there's nothing about these three theaters that you were involved with for 27 years of your life. Very little is in these theater history books. We should do something about that. I said, I would love to. And so that's how the conversation started. And before you know it, we started a journey that we had no idea was going to...
Yeah, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Because okay, so you're obviously, we already established that you're a historian. And
Yeah.
so what is it that you were coming across or weren't coming across that you felt was missing?
Well, in the ordinary theater history books, you get virtually no coverage of any minority theater in New York, with very few exceptions, and certainly not Latino theater. You know, and I knew that Tony had worked on with three theaters that we then ended up covering in this film, as we'll discuss. And I said, you know, there's nothing there. I mean, there are a few books that you could assign if you wanted to do that, but nothing in the major sources. So I said, you know, let's do something. And we had no idea what we're getting ourselves into.
And the theaters that we're referring to are INTAR, the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater,
And
as well
Repertorio
as
Español.
Repertorio
Repertorio
Español.
Español.
Yes,
That's
right.
correct, yeah.
And of course their artistic directors.
Right.
Right.
And they really were the people who gave me a home when I arrived to the theater at 24 out of grad school. And they were called, as many of us referred to them, the Holy Trinity of the theater, because
Right.
they really were. And they gave opportunities to so many Latinos that didn't have a voice. And so it was very important to capture that history, because the three of them are pioneers in terms of what they've done. As Lin-Manuel Miranda says in the film, they were the pioneers who planted the flag in the sand when nobody wanted to hear our voices. They were there. And now we have this incredible history. So
This documentary,
yeah.
which is what we're discussing. We're discussing Theater of Rice and Beans, which is a documentary that these gentlemen produced that actually highlight Miriam Colón Valle, Rene Bush, and Max Ferrer.
Right.
And
right.
and you know what's really interesting is that your professors in the University of Florida, and I understand that this process was a very long process for you.
It was, yes.
And you started to tap a little bit into how the concept was created, but
Right.
Just share a little bit about how it was initially supposed to be a dinner, and how it ended up actually lasting into a 7-year process that required you coming back and forth.
Well, it was a dinner originally, in fact.
It's
yeah,
always been a dinner.
Yeah,
It's always been a dinner.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's why it's called
I
Theater
like
of Rice
it.
and Beans.
I
It's
like
not
it.
it's
Right.
not just a sort of a metaphorical title. It's really kind of a concrete title about what started the whole thing. And Tony had the idea because he had a great recipe
Of my grandmother's rice
from
and
his
beans.
Rice
grandmother.
and beans.
Yeah, which
Of-
I cooked.
of rice and
Really?
beans,
You have
right,
a
so-
secret?
Yeah.
Can you share it?
Well, no,
I
this,
know.
Maybe
no,
everybody
he
wants
sells that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you know, yeah. But
Yeah.
but I mean, that was the original idea, was to have a dinner and sit them down and just have the whole thing be conversational. and then everything else grew out of that. You can sort of tell.
Yeah,
that story.
I think that one of the things about the dinner to me was important was to gather the three of them together, which was a challenge in and of itself because they're difficult to figure out when they're going to be there and are we going to get them there.
And their personalities must have
very,
been like,
yeah,
wow.
Very large
very
personalities,
large.
yes.
And we were in a tiny apartment on the Upper West Side filming this dinner with the cameras and the crew and everybody, and I had cooked before, so they get me shopping for the food and then cooking and then them arriving, so it's this whole, and then what happened is after we shot the dinner, we quickly realized that what we wanted to do is highlight all the people that came out of these theaters. People like Nilo Cruz and, Carmen Rivera and so many important playwrights. And, somebody like Maria Irene Fornés, who was, the mother of avant-garde theater in a lot of ways, but she was also a playwriting teacher at INTAR for many years, and she developed many, many great playwrights. So what happened is that as we started, after the dinner, and we started interviewing various people, I knew the people I wanted to get, but it was a challenge, and that's why it took us so long, because some of these people were not available to interview for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some heavy hitters in there. You
Yeah.
got Chita Rivera, Lin-Manuel Rivera,
Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, Nilo Cruz, Carmen Rivera, like you mentioned.
Hal Prince,
Hal Prince
who's
is
one
in
of
there.
the
Nice.
giants of the Broadway stage, yeah.
So what was that process like as far as setting it up and then having to come back and capture this person and then...
Well, you have to remember that we have full-time jobs,
Yeah, right.
so-
yeah.
So this little documentary was just kind of a little project on the side that then grew larger and larger and
right.
started to occupy our summers. And we said, okay, well, we can fly to New York at this point and arrange for these interviews. And then, of course, you come back with a great deal of footage, and then you have to decide, well, what do you use, right? And so a lot of that had to do with the editing and figuring out exactly. And the big problem for us was, as we went along, is what's the story. What story wants to tell itself, so to speak, through this film, right? And that's really what we're trying to sort of figure out. Because a film does, when you have a lot of interviews, you have to sort of listen to the interviews and listen to the film and what story it wants to tell. And that took us quite a while to put that together. And we said, oh no, this has to be in there, and these are what some of the themes and so forth. And then you do the next interview and you ask about that particular theme and get more footage and material. And
So you had a screening yesterday at the Tribeca Cinema, right?
Yeah, it was on Monday. We did the screening at Tribeca Cinemas.
And what was the response that you got?
it was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
But even more so
Oh,
of the
incredible.
importance of the work that you've done. Like,
Well,
what was some of the response that you received?
I think the most important thing for me and for Ralph, for sure, was the fact that we wanted the three of them to be there, which was a challenge because
They're quite frail by
because,
now, of course,
right, and but they all showed up, thankfully, and so
All
three of them
did,
were
yes,
there,
yes.
and Chita Rivera and a bunch of the cast came, and so it was an invited screening. But the response was tremendous. I like to sit always in the back of the theater to watch and observe and listen.
As
and
a
of course,
director
yeah,
does.
that's right. That's what we do. So they were laughing, they were crying. There was such an incredible response. And then Renee and Max and Miriam each got their mic at the very end because we had a little talk back, and they shed a lot of tears. We all did. It was a very
They were also given the Presidential Medal from
That's
the University of Florida.
We
So we
did.
had arranged that.
Yeah, we gave them the Presidential Medal from Bernie Matchin from the University of Florida for their achievement in the theater,
Lifetime
which is only given to very, very important people by the university. So we did that, and I tell you, it was a celebration. The whole event was a celebration to them, and it was a party because there were so many people that hadn't seen each other for so many years.
Right. And you were able to celebrate them while they were, how they say, que me lo den en vida.
En vida, that's
En vida.
right. Yeah,
In
that was
life.
Right.
in life.
Yes.
That was so important to us, and that really was the impetus to completely get this done as quickly as possible because we wanted to make sure that they each saw the film. And now that they've seen it, there's a great deal of peace now, and now we start, promoting
I think
it.
there's a great deal of peace with you as well. So where can we see the film now? Like where is it going after the screening?
Well, that's our next big project, is really to figure out, first of all, to cut it down a little bit. It's a little longer than, let's say, broadcasting would want, and we're aiming high. We're aiming to see whether we might be able to get interest from PBS. We will probably broadcast it by the end of this year on the local PBS channel in North Florida, but it really needs to be seen here, obviously, where the film is set. And so we're looking into that, but it has to be cut down a little bit. We need to lose about 24 minutes
20,
or so.
that's a lot of minutes. Yeah.
And so some of our favorite sections might have to be trimmed a little bit. But and then we're looking at film festivals.
We have a screening in the UK that's coming up.
Right.
And then we're also going to be screening in Miami probably in spring 2016, as well as in Santa Fe, New Mexico the following summer. So, and as well as other festivals that we've been approached to.
It sounds like it just kicked off.
It
and
just
we're
kicked
so
off,
happy
yeah.
that you kicked it off here in New
Thank
York,
you.
where as it should be,
As it
right?
should be.
Absolutely,
Those
sure.
are the people you
That's
documented
right.
and the theaters you documented.
Right.
And we're happy that you were here and open to share it with
Thank
our
you.
viewers. And if anybody wanted to obtain more information, they would just go to the website.
Right.
Yeah, we have a website.
Which is
It's,
www.theaterofriceandbeans.com.
All right, thank you,
Yeah,
Tony.
thank you very much
you.
for having us. It's a pleasure.
Dr. Rimsky. And once again, to discover more about the documentary and where it will be screening, you can just go to theaterofriceandbeans.com. Theaterofriceandbeans.com. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll learn about banquet